It's Wednesday, August 31st, 2011. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, we review the last show to excite us in quite some time, Puella Magi Madoka Magica.
Let's do this.
We're back from PAX.
Woo-hoo.
You can tell that our voices are a little off, but not to like at the older days. I feel like we've leveled up the voices.
Have we really? I haven't noticed.
It's not like that one Otakon we were coughing up blood. We couldn't even talk for like a day after the con.
You were the one who was coughing up blood.
You couldn't talk either.
It was just uncomfortable to talk. I could have talked if I needed to.
You could not talk because I know you. There were some discussions that were happening at the time where could you have said a word would have been said.
A word.
A word.
A word it is.
Dumbass.
So there was a real fire near my work.
Really?
It wasn't that exciting. Some of those garbage stores that just sell shit to tourists, you know those, right?
Yeah.
They sell magnets for $6.
They
And
basically
snow globes
sell
and I
garbage.
Love New York T-shirts and other trash, right? A couple of them, I think, from the looks of the debris and the, because I didn't see the fire happening. I just walked past it and said, "Oh, a fire happened here." It looked like they had some junky old Coca-Cola beverage refrigerator that had an electrical fire of some sort.
That's fine. That's fine.
So
So PAX, right?
that was cool.
We're at PAX. It was awesome. We'll talk about it some other time. So any of you are new listeners from PAX, welcome. But tonight is anime night and comics, all that stuff. So if you're looking for our PAX coverage, it'll probably be next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I will gladly pay you on Tuesday.
For a PAX on
Oh my God. The
anytime.
lucky thing is, it's only 6 months till PAX.
Thank God. Hopefully there will be a third PAX and it'll be even less time between PAXs.
So we're not going to talk about PAX tonight, but I do want to talk about the PAXster math. Because, it's a weekend, I'm in Seattle, and we pretty much do nothing but eat incredibly dense, greasy, meaty food.
I kept it light by eating less meals, but making all of them big.
Which is bad, because every time I go out to eat, all I would think, I'm like an animal. I'm like, you know what? I don't know when next there will be food in front of me, so I am going to gorge.
I didn't gorge. I ate till I was
gorged.
full. I didn't gorge.
But that was all well and good until we were going to the airport, and we got to stand in security to get back on the plane to go back to New York. Farted. Kept farting. They were silent. To say that they were deadly was an understatement. I think I killed 8 people. So-
You were making jokes about a trail of
No, this
tears.
is what I'm getting to. So we're in line, right? And I fart. And Emily just looks at me, and I look at her with the look of, yeah, it was me, and she starts laughing. And then the people behind me, walk into it because the line was moving at quite it was a surprising pace. It was just fast enough to where I think I maximized the number of people affected by my stinking cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe cloud kill at this point.
Cloud kill.
So we walk,
Coffee.
and I fart again. We walk, and I fart again. And I can hear people down the line making the noise of, oof. They'd go like, oof, as they walked into it, like it hit them in the face. So finally, I'm like, this is very reminiscent of the Trail of Tears. And Emily lost it. And then everyone knew it was me. I was very proud of that. And the worst thing is, because I was thinking Trail of Tears, every time I farted, I started laughing.
Okay.
And it was like this vicious cycle. So then we go to get on the plane, and as we're walking in, I turn to Emily and I'm like, and now, the gas chamber. That was the worst gas I've ever had.
Great.
So welcome to Geek Nights. This is what we talk about.
Farts.
Farts.
High class.
So
High
what do you got
class,
for me?
highbrow.
It's Wednesday. We got anime, we got manga, we got comics.
So there's a new comic that came out somewhat recently, probably between the last Wednesday show and this one,
Yeah.
that I saw on the ordering list, and I just wanted people to be aware that now you can order this comic on the Amazon, as Jerry Holkin says,
Yeah.
and it will come and be delivered to your house where you can read it for a very low price. The comic is called Feynman. It's a biography
Surely
comic
you must be joking.
of Richard Feynman, the famous person. If you don't know who that is, what the fuck? That's pretty much all there is to it. Actually, I saw that listed and I was like, okay, that, the premise on paper, that's awesome. But in reality, I mean, is this really going to be good? It could be terrible. But I was reassured because on the Amazon, there was a little video, like trailer for it, which is
Yeah.
it had like included music and showed you frames from the comic with title, and actually it really sold me on it. I was like, wow, I'm not disappointed that I ordered that. Didn't go wrong.
All right.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, pretty much. So it was a Twitter thing, but it's comic related. I just kind of want to talk about this briefly because I just Googled it to figure out what the deal was. I saw a bunch of people tweeting something about like the Blob ate the Wasp. And I'm like, what? You mean like nothing moves the Blob? And I guess the Wasp is also a superhero.
Yeah, that could have been a Marvel Comics thing, right?
And it was people tweeting who know about comics. I figured this is what they were tweeting about. And then one of them's like, yeah, Loeb something something. I'm like, all right, this has got to be.
Well, Jeff Loeb is a comic writer.
So I was like, did the Blob eat the Wasp? And who's the Wasp? I look up and
the Wasp is an Avenger. She's very tiny.
Yep. And apparently the Blob ate her.
Alrighty.
And I Googled it, and there it is. It is apparently famous as being one of the worst pages in any mainstream superhero comic ever.
Is she like still flying around inside of him or what?
No, he's like tearing her guts open and like eating her.
Oh.
Yeah.
When did this happen?
There's another picture. I don't know if this is canon or not, but it's Hank Pym eating the Blob, maybe in revenge. I can't quite tell.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is, but I had to Google it because too many people were tweeting about it. I was like, what? Really? The Blob? Nothing moves him?
All the Underwear Pervert comics are just getting crazy, go nuts lately, going off the deep end. Like the X-Men have like some kind of crazy schism thing going on where like Uncanny X-Men, there's actually going to be a final issue, and then that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Just like how they all die.
And it's like, but like there's not gonna be, it's Uncanny X-Men issue, whatever, 500 something, and then there isn't gonna be whatever that is +1.
The unholy X-Men.
Right. No, I mean like let's pretend the number is like 599. There isn't gonna be 600. It's just it's over.
That almost doesn't mean anything.
I know. And then it does if you're some crazy collecting nut job like they sell to. And there's gonna basically the X-Men, they had a big fight. It's like an X-Men fighting with themselves, the Wolverine side and the Cyclops side. And it's like, well, Iceman's on the Wolverine side.
Nah.
It's that kind of bullshit. It's like, okay, great.
Yeah, well, didn't they do that? Like, didn't Captain America have some stuff
but
like that too?
That was the Avengers. They're basically doing the same thing with the X-Men.
Probably because that seemed to be pretty popular.
Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. It's getting crazy. But at least DC is doing the reset thing, which that might just be crazy and stupid too, but we'll check it out. At the end of this month, we're going to get a whole big box of comics.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
We'll see.
I kind of am a little bit.
A little bit, just to see. It's curiosity more than an expectation of high quality.
I pretty much just want all the Batmans.
Yeah.
Batmans.
Batman.
I think it's Batmans is what I'm going to say from now on.
Batsmen.
So I don't have...
and the first one of those number ones actually just came out this morning, I guess last night at midnight. And the Jeff Johns, who I hate, and Jim Lee, who's all right, who did the Justice League number one, they were at the Midtown Comics with a huge line of people and everything. So
I do not have a news, nor do I have a geek bite, as is often my cop-out. I'm going to do something that I don't think we've said this word on the show in over a year. I have a geek back.
Oh, shit. Who emailed you?
I got an email from 12 days ago from Jarvis.
What did Jarvis say?
Well, what Jarvis said, and I bring this up partly because I've received many other emails on this same topic. I don't remember saying anything about this show, but I must have because people wouldn't all be bothering us about this randomly. So, to quote Jarvis, I finished listening to the Anime We Want to See podcast. Oh, I guess that's the one. A few days ago. And I'm really hoping you guys come through with what you said about putting together a show on Gasaraki.
Oh, snap.
I'm not the biggest super fan of the show.
Who is?
But I did finish the whole thing. Bravo, good sir.
Good job.
Bravo.
You win.
Maybe 2 years ago.
And no prize.
It was well worth the time. I even bought and built some of the model kits.
Whoa.
The Bandai, they're good models, actually.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to make models, stick with the Gundams, dude.
Yeah, the Bandai put out, I don't know, maybe like Battletech style.
The farthest I'll go is maybe Macross.
Anyway, I'm not going to read the rest because he asks me a question that's kind of a spoiler. And it's the kind of show where I don't want to spoil this.
Right, but for people who don't know, there's an anime called Gasaraki.
It's Yo, dog, I like Gasaraki, but it is one of the more boring things you will ever see.
It's a really slow, boring, like business and military show that has some fantasy and some robots.
Yeah, the way I would describe Gasaraki is imagine a world where there are mechs, but the mechs are literally just tanks.
Yeah, they work just like tanks, only they happen to have legs.
Simultaneously, imagine an anime that treats the way tanks work the way tanks work. And the people driving the tanks are talking the way that real people who are driving tanks are going to talk to each other. And there's no time compression.
Or at least convincingly so.
Yeah, in effect that it's just like, move 4 clicks to the north, affirmative that, moving 4 clicks to the north, click, click, that. We are engaging hostiles. Yes, it's just, it is so boring. I cannot express this to you.
But I like it. It's a good show.
I really like it anyway because it's boring and procedural, but it's a show that builds and builds. Basically, the entire show is set up for 3 scenes at the end of the show.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you'll know that if you'll like this show. I highly recommend at least watching it until something happens where a mech is hanging on a wire out the back of a plane shooting at stuff.
That was a great scene.
Or when a dude gets backed over by a Jeep.
That was okay.
Those 2 scenes, if you notice those scenes and you enjoy them, you should watch the entire show.
Yeah.
Now, it also has an ancient mystery, and it also has the cliche that we've been talking about a lot lately because both Madoka and Trigun had this, an episode that we like to call Suddenly in Space.
Yep.
Meaning, you turn on the episode, like somewhere in the middle of the show, and you stop it a few minutes in because you think you've got the wrong show. Like you opened the wrong file. Maybe the DVD's messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like in Innocence, where I was in the theater and I was convinced that like the DVD, like the digital copy they were showing us was messed up and was looping. And then I was like, oh no, it's just Oshii. Now, when I keep saying boring, you gotta trust me, guys. You might like this show. It's super good, like way good. But like, let's see, what's a good example?
The thing is, it's way good for the people who like it. There's a lot of people who won't like it. Most
like if
people.
you like say Skycrawlers, like the slow Oshii style, it's slow and boring because that's part of the message, and you're cool with an hour and 40 minutes of very little happening, punctuated by action scenes, you're gonna dig this.
Yeah.
It's got a similar kind of message too. It's even got a Bishonen in it. Remember him?
I guess.
Yeah, he pretty much is. It's got a good mystery.
We actually watched the show. I bought the whole show on VHS. We watched it all dubbed a long time ago. We don't have VCRs anymore, really.
The dub averages out to a C, but that's basically a B dub with one line that brought it down to a C average.
Yeah.
That's the worst line in any anime ever.
I bought the dub on VHS because it was cheaper in those days.
No,
And I didn't have a DVD player in those days. Now you can get it on DVD probably cheap, but I don't think it's in print anymore, so you're going to have to dig it up.
The main reason I say to watch it, I guess it's turned into a Geek Bite now. I did a Geek Back that turned into a Geek Bite. Like what happens here. Is that
double power.
we're really, it's anime season again, so there's going to be a lot of anime reviews coming down the pipe. So I'm just going to tell you right now to watch Gasaraki, and then we'll watch it at some point soon. We'll probably do a show or 2 on it.
Probably.
Because lately it's anime. Maybe just because PAX is done, and all the games I want to play that I saw at PAX, I cannot play yet. So I'm going to watch anime until Aramek and Monaco and Spy Party are in my house.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm pretty much going to play those games.
Oh, yeah. Counter-Strike Go.
Yep.
Tribes Ascend.
The best part is I traded a pretty crap-ass board game for a box set.
You traded
of
the number one board
Gasaraki.
game on Board Game Geek.
Yeah,
that
you know what? The
cost
number
you
one board game on Board Game Geek kind of sucks.
for like $75, $80 you paid for it.
That was one of the biggest mistakes I ever made. Was
You
buying
realize
that
the
game.
price of it now is like $100+.
Don't even care. I just don't want it.
You traded it for an anime you probably could have got used for a lot less.
I just wanted to get rid of Twilight Struggle. Fuck that game. And dude who got it from me, you're going to play it, and you're going to be like, oh.
Maybe he'll like it.
I don't think
Apparently
so.
a lot of people do.
I know, but who are these people? It's not a
Walls
good game.
guys.
But anyway, things of the day. Usually Scott sees things like this before I do. Somehow I saw this one first. We really
You were
like
just
it.
having to read more internets today.
We
than
really
me.
like it when people make stylized posters in an old style or a neat style about something that is not traditionally in that style. I think the poster child for this is that awesome X-Men poster.
Yep.
So this is that, and it's also kind of like those posters.
See, the thing I don't understand, right, is like you always see this style of poster. Why doesn't anyone use this style for like a video game or a whole movie or something like that?
Why don't we make Turnflick in this style?
Let's do it. Done.
Yeah, done.
Done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good job.
Now we have to make Turnflick.
We're working on it.
I haven't worked on it in like 3 months.
That's all right.
In fact, I still have, it's on my desk, is a piece of paper where I sketched out 4 maps and I wrote down the numbers for 5 kinds of units. I have not even typed that into a computer yet.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anyway, so these are travel posters for historic Planet Zebes.
Let's travel to Planet Zebes.
They're pretty
What a great place to visit.
You know what?
Tons of horrible creatures that want to rip your face off.
I point out this might be
horrible acid everywhere.
Maybe this is
unbreathable air.
An era before the planet sucked. Because, I mean, the Chozo were there. It was kind of awesome, wasn't it?
So you want to go there when the Chozo were still there?
Or maybe like the Chozo fell. Maybe it was nice for a while and then eventually went to shit. Maybe the space pirates made it go to shit. Maybe after Samus fixed everything, it's nice again. We don't know.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was kind of empty when Samus went back in Super Metroid.
Except for these space pirates living there.
Just space pirates. There wasn't that much else going on.
Metroids. Horribly dangerous flora and fauna.
Not that bad.
It doesn't get much more dangerous in terms of the flora and fauna danger department.
I guess my perspective is skewed because every time I've visited, it has been through the most badass woman to have ever not lived.
You've never visited the West Indies.
You've never been to the West Indies. Kids, you win a point if you know what we're referencing there. So what do you got for me, Scott?
Why don't we do a show on the thing you were referencing on a Thursday?
We had to have done a show on that.
We'll check it.
I will check while you do your thing of the day.
You have to rewatch. Don't you have it?
Yes, I have 2 DVD box sets of the thing to which we referred a moment ago.
If we haven't done the show, let's watch an episode after the show.
Oh my God. And then you want to drink some laudanum?
No.
You have a party?
No.
Laudanum party?
No. Thing of the day, right? So, for those of you who are aware, right, Hatsune Miku was made using a technology known as Vocaloid 2. And Hatsune Miku sounds pretty good, depending on the person orchestrating her, I guess would be the verb.
That sounds a little bit kinky.
Yeah, depending on how
manipulating,
how
maybe?
much.
Scott, we did a show on this on June 7th, 2007.
Shit.
Here's the news. You did something from FARC. I don't know what. I'm going to click on it now.
All right.
And I said that fidgeting is good for people. Your thing of the day was the Jill Jet.
Jill Jet.
And my thing of the day was Chairbot, which is basically Hedonism Bot the cosplay.
All right, so
anyway,
what was my news from FARC?
Your news was something from the Daily Mail that no longer exists.
Great.
Nope, that's mine about fidgeting. Yours was a man was in a wheelchair and got hit by a semi-truck.
What?
That was your news.
What? There had to be something more to it. I'll have to go listen to the episode.
I'm loading this old news article. Oh, a man was hit by a truck in his wheelchair. It did not kill him or hurt him in any way. The truck pushed him.
There you
go. For 2 miles.
There you go.
At over 50 miles an hour.
There you go.
Okay.
Whee!
Nice.
Nice. All right, so Hatsune Miku was made with Vocaloid 2.
You know what town this happened in? Pawpaw. Okay.
So Hatsune Miku is made with Vocaloid 2, and depending on who, if some amateur just opens up Hatsune Miku and tries to make her sing, it sounds like a robot. But if a professional does it and spends a lot of time on it, it can often sound very close to a real person. But even if you listen closely, you can tell, right, that it's not a real person. It's at best, it's a person with extremely heavy auto-tune, right? There has been a leaked audio file from someone who in Korea, they're working on a different company, not Krypton Future Media, who makes Hatsune Miku, but this other company in Korea is making a new voice using Vocaloid 3. Oh shit, son! And this leaked audio was put on the internets, and it sounds like a person with a very light auto-tune.
The next step after
this is still in development, first of all, and second of all, if that, did they put the full effort of a professional into it? Like if the best Vocaloid users, on Earth use this, it's probably going to sound like a person with a very, very little auto-tunes on them.
We're
Vocaloid 4
we're like
is
one step away from Super Macross.
Vocaloid 4 is probably going to be in the uncanny valley, deep into it, and Vocaloid 5 is probably going to sound like a real person. So I predict, what year is it, 2011, 2012?
Yep.
So 2022.
What do you mean 2011, 2012?
Yeah.
What do you mean you have to estimate what year it is?
It's pretty close to 2012.
It's August.
Right, so in 2021, 2022, or 2028, you're probably going to have Vocaloid 5, and Vocaloid 5 is going to sound like a real person, and you won't be able to tell.
Vocaloid 6 is going to take over the world.
Vocaloid 6, you won't have to even type anything in. It'll just sing songs. You turn it on. But yeah, this is pretty impressive. You should listen to this. This is not a person singing. Every last... What was it? We will not have a vocal cord left. Singing of these infernal machines.
So for a while now, I've known about the show Puella Magi Madoka Magica. The one that like the weird title. I always just called it Puella.
Yeah, well, it's one of those situations where you're on the internet, and sometimes there's like a thread that explodes about something, and it's like you just notice it, and you're like, well, there's a pony thread over there.
Yeah.
I guess there's a thing called ponies, and it's pretty popular. Let me go see what the deal is. So there was a Madoka Magica thread, and I knew that there was a relatively new anime called Madoka Magica. I didn't know anything else about it other than it was magical girly, and the people were talking about it. So I was like,
I had a little more going for me ahead of time because one, I knew it was done by Shaft.
All right.
They did Wreck, which we
Wreck
also
is
kind of
all right.
liked.
Yeah.
Yep. And Arakawa Under the Bridgie and Arakawa Under the Bridgie.
You love the Bridgie.
I do love the Bridgie. I don't know why. But also, Nate had been telling me forever, like from the moment it was out, he's like, this show is up your alley. And the way he sold it to me was, he was like, it's Utena Ava with music by Yuki Kajira.
Yeah, so I asked Emily, I was like, what's the deal with that show? And she's like, it's like magical girls, but it's serious and dark. And I was like, all right, whatever. So I started watching it. People, because I realized what made me watch it, people talked about it. I needed a show to watch. I checked it out. It's only 12 episodes. I'm like, oh, even if this is awful, I can watch 12 episodes.
That's like 2 afternoons.
Right. And I need to do a Geeknights show about something on a Wednesday.
Now, it is very telling, Scott, that usually when there's a new show like this that isn't a million episodes, you'll start watching it. You'll say, like, hey, I'm watching X. And then, like, a month later, you'll be like, yeah, I finished it. You should watch it. Should we do a show on it? You came to me like right away. You're like, watch this goddamn show.
Yeah. Well, as soon as I started I started watching it on a night, and I watched 5 episodes, and then the next day I watched 7. By noon, I had watched the whole show because it's 12 episodes.
It's been a long time since Scott's been excited about an anime. Never mind, it's been a long time since I've been excited enough about anime to where I start watching it and I can't stop.
That happens sometimes.
I mean, the last show that did that to me, that wasn't My Little Pony, was watching Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex.
I did it somewhat
Bokurano
recently.
did it to me.
Sort of.
Ava, Eska, Trigun, Bebop.
And trying to think of times I couldn't stop. I mean, there'd be times like watching Okuto no Ken, right? So you just keep watching, but there's a zillion episodes.
Yeah.
So you only watch like 5 at a time or something like that. You don't just keep going and going without stopping because you can't. You'll die.
Yeah, but some shows like Bebop, if you've never seen it before, you've just got to see the next episode.
Yeah, even if you've seen Cowboy Bebop before, you start watching, you just can't stop watching. You go straight to the end. So what is Madoka Magica? So here's the deal. There's magical girls in the real world. It's sort of actually a futuristic world, right? It's like everything's...
think 20, 40 years into our future, pretty realistically.
Everything is somewhat higher tech than the things we have in the world today.
I kind of like that. It was a nice touch.
Yeah. So, this girl is in school, and her name is Madoka, and one day this transfer student shows up at the school.
Wow, this is pretty stereotypical sounding
It's
so
really,
far,
and then
isn't it?
she runs out of her house to go to school with a piece of toast in her mouth.
Oh my god, but she finishes the toast. I've never seen that happen.
Yeah, she ate the whole
Usually
toast.
the toast it's like a gravitational field that causes a boy to be in front of her. They'll bump into each other and it goes flying.
Right. Oh, and it's typical, at least on the surface level, high school magical girl stuff. But at the very beginning of the show, the opening scene is that typical anime trick where they show you some crazy action scene of something else, and then after the opener, it's Happy School, and they somehow tie in that thing that happened before the opener of the first episode is like a glimpse of the real plot later.
Well, like, remember When They Cry?
I didn't really watch it.
Before the credits.
Right.
Yeah, it was the savage beating to death of someone with a baseball bat, and then it was Moe School for like 23 minutes.
Yep. So it's, and that's the thing about Madoka. I don't want, it's only 12 episodes. You can pretty much spoil the whole thing by saying anything.
Well, but here's the deal. So Madoka, she's a cute girl, typical, everything's stereotypical. The transfer student, all mysterious
and badass.
And she takes her aside, and actually, Homura, the transfer student, has a lot of really good lines in this show. Like, she has good delivery of things in it, but she kind of takes Madoka aside. She's like, yeah, I need you to show me to the nurse's office. And she's like, do you value your life? Do you value the things in your life? And she's like, yes. And then Homura's like, well, then you don't need to be anyone else, do you?
Yeah.
And it's kind of...
She's obviously from the start being like, look, you know that it's a magical girl show. Madoka's name is in the show. You see her as a magical girl in the opener, which isn't anything like the show at all. You know that, you're thinking she's going to become a magical girl, and the first thing that happens is this mysterious girl who was magical in the opening before the opener, right? Who's now the transfer student, is like, don't become a magical girl, pretty much.
Yep, especially because in the opener... Madoka is clearly a magical girl.
So within the first couple of minutes, they've set up the conflict already. This Madoka had a dream about this magical girl. The girl who looks just like the magical girl appears at school as a transfer student, and it tells Madoka not to become a magical girl.
And pretty much things...
But she's the main character, so she's got to become one.
And right after that, things conspire, and there's a cute mascot, Kyubey, who's kind of like Luna and Dung Beetle and all those cute things kind of mixed together into one.
Yeah, he's the same thing as Dung Beetle from Bokurano, basically. He's the alien who tries to, has... It's like there's all these different sorts of, Madoka's combined all these different things, right? A lot of the show has the mood of Ava, right? Where, you'll have shots of, weird things, or like shots where the characters are off camera while sort of an eerie music plays and people talk, or, a quiet scene of an empty street with cicadas chirping, right? A lot of the Ava kind of stuff. And that's the mood you'll have through a lot of the show.
But like the backgrounds and the stark silhouette landscapes are so Utena, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Also, you'll have, how Battle Royale or Bokurano or a lot of those, or 9 People, 9 Doors, 9 Hours, whatever it is.
Death Note, Monster,
right.
even.
Death Note, Monster, not really.
Nah.
But, all these shows that have a premise where all the conflict, Bokurano, centers around a set of rules. Like, they set up, in some sci-fi or fantasy reason for a set of rules. Like, these are the rules of the Death Note. This is the rules of the Battle Royale. Well, Madoka, there's these set of rules about magical girls that are set up.
Well, I guess I said Monster
that create conflict.
Because if you pull back a little bit, there aren't that many rules that come into play in this show, and they're very rarely stated as, like in Death Note, like rule number 8, blah,
That's
blah,
true.
blah.
They're not stated so strictly
And
like they are in the other rules.
It's more
shows.
that the mystery of the show is what the rules are.
Yeah.
Or like like in Monster, the mystery is kind of like, what is the monster after, and what made him, and why is he doing this to all those kids?
Yep. It also, right, the show also has the Trigun going on. If you've never seen Trigun, I'm not going to spoil that either. But
it's also a Gasaraki. Show does the same thing. We call it now, I think Scott coined the term, suddenly in space.
Right. So in Trigun episode 17, I'm not going to tell you what happens, but basically, suddenly, right, the episode 16 ends. Episode 17 does not pick up where 16 left off.
In fact, you might think, did I put in the wrong DVD?
Right, because it doesn't look like Trigun, even though you just saw a Trigun opener.
Gasaraki did the same thing. Episode, I think it's 12 or 13. It's like, what? This isn't Gasaraki.
Yeah.
Did they fuck up?
But it is. They just suddenly, there's an episode, at the very beginning of the episode, you're in the past. and you're basically having the secrets of the show answered for you. And episode 10 out of 12 of Madoka is just like that. It doesn't pick up where 9 left off. It just starts at some other point in some other place and teaches you all the secrets of the show and blows your brains out.
Now, very rarely have I had an episode of it. I've had shows that have oh shit moments where like, oh shit, Akio something, oh shit, some sort of like.
Yeah, but the thing is, those more typically, right, come towards the end of an episode. It's like an episode will pick up where the last one went off, build up, and then something crazy will happen at some sort of climax.
More importantly, there will only be one oh shit in an episode.
Right, it's a totally different technique to start an episode like, what is going on? Oh shit, and then the whole episode just is like crazy.
And the thing is, Scott hyped it up because he watched the show.
Yeah, and I was like, I hyped it up because I couldn't help myself, but then I was like, Rim, did I overhype it?
Oh my god. So literally 5 seconds into that episode,
10.
all of us are like, oh shit, and then we oh shit again, and then again, and again, and and as soon as I'm like, okay, I see what's going on, there was another oh shit that just blew everything out of the water.
Yep.
Like, I cannot express to you. It was a similar feeling. The last time an anime made me feel that way was that one episode of Utena with the car and Anthe holding the candles, and they're going out one by one, and then you see somebody in the background. That was the last time I had even close to that much oh shit in an episode of an anime.
I don't know. I've had that a bunch of times, but it hasn't been in a while because there hasn't been a good show in a while. And I think the thing about this show, I think the key is that it's 12 episodes, right? So every episode is the episode where X happens. Each episode is big. There's no meaningless episodes. There's no slow parts. There's no, everything that happens, it's very economical with its scenes, and everything is meaningful. You're always in the heat of it, and then before it drags on, it ends. Not, it's like Gonzo shows. If all the Gonzo shows, like say Last Exile started just about as strong as Madoka started.
Yeah.
But it had 26 episodes and it sort of dragged a bit. I'm watching number 6 right now. Started pretty strong, but dragged. Eden of the East, so I don't know. I don't think that was as long, but it still didn't.
It wasn't that it dragged, it's that it introduced characters I didn't care about.
Right. Or know why they were there or anything.
Yep.
But, Madoka, perfect. 12 episodes, we're ending it. Period. Done.
Yeah. Also, it's very important to note that Madoka has a real ending.
Yeah, it's not like, say, shows like...
Well, Scrap Princess, let's reveal the whole plot at the end, out of nowhere. Or let's see, Bokurano has a real ending, too.
Or Candidate for Goddess, right? That show was one that was they were intending to go more than 13 episodes, but they got cut to 13, and you could see the 13th episode was sort of like, oh shit, we weren't planning to end it right now, but we have to, so...
But like Eden of the East had a stupid ending.
Yeah. But Madoka, they knew they were going to end it at 12 episodes well in advance, and they did so. So they brought it to the ending with the exact right pacing. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't slow. It was perfect.
And the thing is, the show, like, as you're going on and more oh shits are happening, you're learning things about this universe. Like, what is a magical girl? What is Kyubei's contract? What does all this really mean? Who is Homura? Why is she the way she is? How does she know all this stuff?
Why is everyone the way they are?
And it gets to a point around episode 8.5, where there is no conclusion you can make but that everybody's fucked in a way that is almost unimaginably depressing.
Yeah.
Like, as an intelligent person, you're like, there is no way out of this. And the way the show ends is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it's one of those, sometimes you'll be watching something and you'll be like, just do this. Just do this.
Scott, we have to call this the guns moment, when Neo is like, guns.
Exactly.
Lots of guns.
You're like, just do this. And then you get really happy because in the show, they actually end up doing something pretty similar to what you were hoping someone would do, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking the whole time, just do this. And in the end, they did something sort of close to what I was asking for.
They kind of went beyond what I thought. I would be like, do X. They were like, do X times 10.
Yeah. It definitely was not exactly what I was thinking, but it worked out, in the same sort of way.
It's also very worth mentioning that the show has fantastic music, but it has a very limited repertoire of songs that are used almost like leitmotifs. There's like the action stuff is happening song.
Well,
There
I
is
mean-
the variation on that for you are learning stuff about the universe. There is the ominous you are learning stuff about the universe that will raise more questions song. There is the happy we are doing stuff song.
Well, actually, if you pay attention, right, there's pretty much each of the girls has everyone has a theme song. Each
Scott, that's called a
each major
leitmotif.
character, right?
It's a leitmotif.
But most of the other songs are just variations of the opener or the closer, and the opener and the closer are great. Like they're super awesome.
They're reminiscent of good old anime.
Yeah.
Actually, the opener song really reminds me of the song from the remake of Birdie the Mighty,
Yeah.
Decode.
The thing about the opener is, like, I don't know if it's the greatest song, but I really like it, and it gives me sort of this nostalgic feeling. It feels like an older anime song.
Well, what's funny, because,
So it brings me back to, like, the 90s.
we're hanging out with Nuri, and it's funny, Scott has seen all of Madoka twice.
Yep.
And I've seen it 1.7 times because our friend Nuri came. We showed a bunch of our friends the first 3 episodes, and she just stuck around instead of going home the next day to watch all the rest of the show up to episode 9 so me, her, and Emily could then finish it.
Yeah.
And then, she got to 9. She's like, oh, shit, I can't watch more, can I? And I'm like, hells no, you can't.
Well, you could have just...
No, no, she couldn't. So she was like, well, what do I watch now? Something less hardcore. So I was like, Mahou Sky Time. But seriously, this is the first time in history I have seen a show with music by Yuki Kaijira where the show wasn't shit.
Yeah, I mean, she's done, actually, in my opinion, the hack sign music and the noir music. I like those musics actually better than the Madoka music. Not that the Madoka music is that much worse.
No,
it's,
but just
it's a step under.
Well, partly
Mostly because there's less of it.
those were longer shows
Yep.
with arguably more complex plots, though not better plots. Like there's more
And
stuff
also,
going on.
it's just that, I tend to judge music, not based on any sort of measure of, musical quality, because I don't know anything about music, or music theory. But it's like, I like a song more if it gets stuck in my head, even though you usually get annoyed when a song gets stuck in your head.
I had the closing song to Madoka stuck in my head
the
constantly.
opening and closings of Madoka definitely had head stickage, but
No,
the
I
other
had,
songs,
I had Mommy's "I Am Awesome and Happy Doing Awesome Stuff" song
that's
stuck in my
definitely
head
the
too.
third best song.
Yeah.
But the other music, like, I can't really recall it.
Though,
Like,
Scott,
you
think
know?
about
But-
Hexine. The only songs you remember are the Key of the Twilight song, that opening The World song, and maybe the Aura song, which is the sad girl singing about sad
Right,
evil
but
stuff.
the point is that those I remember songs. Not only do I remember the opening and closing songs, but also a lot, multiples of the non-opening.
Granted,
and closing
Scott, you were the
songs.
one who, with a straight face, said that Giant Robo's music was uninspired and unmemorable.
I don't remember a single song from Giant Robo.
I think Giant Robo had one of the stronger anime soundtracks ever.
I don't remember a single song from it at all.
It was
if you
operatic.
played me the Giant Robo soundtrack and another similar soundtrack, I probably would just be 1 out of 2 guesses to figure
That's
out
so
which
sad.
one's Giant Robo
But
and which
anyway,
one's not.
So here's the deal. Remember back in the day, Hexine, the first episode, that in of itself, I was like, this is some A material right here. Like, it had everything cool.
But then
and
nothing happened between episodes 5 and 13.
but pretend those didn't exist. It had the awesome Yuki Kaijira music and the awesome hook. That music alone tricked me into watching that show all the way to episode 13 before I realized it was shit and nothing else had happened.
Yeah.
Same thing with, let's see, it was Hexine and
I watched
Noir.
all of Noir.
Yeah, all of Noir, which was almost as bad as Hexine just because the music made me think. And the first episode combined made me think.
I think Noir was better than Hacksign.
It was, but it was still bad. I got to the end and I regretted watching
Yeah,
it.
the later parts of the show really jumped off the shark there.
I mean, the first
It was,
episode had...
it was a guy jumping off a cliff, and as he fell down the cliff, he passed by a bunch of sharks also falling off the cliff.
But how come that's the same show that had
Then-
the Yuki Kaijira music and it had the dude strangled with his own tie silhouetted off of a staircase?
Yeah.
Everyone remembers. That scene in that show is just like the guy hitting the propeller in Titanic.
Oh, shit.
But so you've got that high quality, like really intense Yuki Kaijira music
All right.
in a good show.
Yeah.
The show is good and the music is good.
Yep. What else is good about the show? The animation is actually just pretty normal modern animation, but
well.
there's some things about it, right? Number one is the magical girls fight bad guys, these witches. Obviously, they're magical girls. They're gonna fight. They're gonna fight something.
The witches are some Ava pop art material.
Right, so the
on.
witches are all in these reality spheres or whatever.
Reality
right? This isn't
marble.
This isn't a spoiler. Yeah, reality marble, whatever you want to call it. But basically, whenever they fight the witches, they sort of go to this other world to fight them, and the other world has this crazy art style that's different for every witch and is nothing like anime style. So you see the anime characters,
like
right?
this. One of the witches they fight pretty early on is basically a Murakami super flat worm dragon unicorn bot.
Yeah, it's like, and so it's really awesome just to see what kind of crazy art is going to be going on in the witch's reality marble the next time.
You'll never see mustaches so
one.
sinister ever
the
again.
Cotton ball mustache. It's crazy, awesome. I love it. I just like whenever a witch comes, it's like a feast for the eyes to see what's going on with all the details in the background. And
Yep.
all the other weird characters coming out.
It's also a minor point, but the show is really colorful and it has
sometimes it's really colorful and sometimes it's not.
But
right?
it has really cute young characters, but they're not moe. There's like no fan service at all.
Yeah, it's like
zero.
It's like the characters could be, if you use them easily, moe perverted characters, but there's never any upskirts or boob shots or the opener has like a second of it. But
but I don't want to talk about. I have things to say about the opener that are kind of spoilers.
Yeah,
so.
but the opener is nothing like the show. That's all you gotta know. But
Yep.
the thing is, there's never any fan service or any porn or anything like that in the show ever. Right? They're just magical girls. The magical girl costumes are not revealing or porny at all. It just.
But also, they never
up.
go like super deformed. It doesn't really do any wacky anime stuff. It's actually a very tight and crisp looking show.
Yeah. The only thing though is that sometimes they do this trick where they're drawn in a very digital, clean, modern way, but their faces will sort of sketchy and pastel colored pencil manga-ish. So it's like you have a completely normal character, but like their eyes will be sort of scratchy. Like
I really like the
it's
eyes. All the
manga-style.
eyes almost look like they're out of a colored manga.
Yeah, something like that.
It's neat. It's like the eyes stood out, and I really like that style of eye.
It's pretty clever.
So who should watch the show? I'm going to tell you
Everybody.
straight up. It's very rare. It's been a long time since I have unhesitatingly called a show an A anime.
Well, and it's not, the thing is, I also call it an A anime, but I don't call it an A plus
Well,
anime.
A plus is different. A plus
Right?
has
It's
the
not-
combination of universal appeal, brilliant both from like the fanboy perspective and from the like just art perspective.
Yeah, it's not Cowboy Bebop. It's not a Miyazaki movie. It's not Macross TV.
But it holds its own next to Escaflowne, next to Trigun. It pumped me up similarly to the way Cowboy Bebop pumped me
I
up.
call it exactly equal with Big O, which is great.
Yeah.
It's
actually,
exactly equal with Big O, which also had 13 episodes in its first season.
Yep, and then it had a second season.
It did, but I've actually heard a rumor of a Madoka second season. Not really.
No, fuck that.
Not really a second season, but another show where you take the characters and it's just happy school time the whole time.
That's just fumafu.
I know.
No,
I don't know if
leave it alone. You know what that would be like? That'd be like if you had Cowgirl Ed and Ein's Adventures.
Well, didn't we want that?
Well, no, I wanted that, but I didn't really want it.
Right, exactly. I think it's one of those situations where because it was 12 episodes, right? Usually most of these shows follow a path where it's happy school time and then later on the darkness.
No, this show gets right
This
into
show
it.
is the darkness from before in the first 1 second is the darkness.
It's like episode 1, you really want to be a magical girl? Episode 2, here's what it's really like. Episode 3, off the deep end, and you still got a bunch more episodes.
9 episodes.
Yeah. So my
But
recommendation...
other shows, start off with a lot more school, a lot more getting to know the characters, a lot more side characters that are humorous that fade away and aren't in the show later on, stuff like that. And this show didn't have any of that because it only had 12 episodes. And I think because it was popular, they want to go back to it.
Yet it lulls you into a sense of complacency because after, all right, it's magical girls, let's go. You really expect them to be just fighting witches, and it presents itself like, all right, they're going to fight this witch, and then no. No. That's not what happens.
The thing is, you don't know what's going to happen. It's crazy awesome.
Yeah. So who should watch the show? Like we said, everyone. The reason I say...
almost everyone, right? Like if you've never watched an anime in your life ever, and you're not if you're a big nerd, right, but you've never watched an anime before, this might actually be a good thing to watch because, like, if I had watched this when I was in high school, since I was a nerd, I would have been, like, blown away by it.
Yeah, when I was in 4th grade and I saw Vampire Hunter D and I was blown away by it, this would have blown me away the same way.
But I might not have fully understood it and would have had to come back later with more anime knowledge.
Much like when I saw the first Tenchi movie. I had no idea what was going on.
Clearly, if you're already an anime fan, just watch it.
Yep.
You know, even if you don't like it, it's only 12 episodes, just do it, right? And, you know, the only people who really probably should avoid it are people who aren't anime fans yet and also aren't nerds. They need to come into anime, you know, like the Cowboy Bebop road and the Miyazaki road.
Unless they're one of those people who remembers, like, oh, as a kid I watched Sailor Moon. You just tell them, this is Sailor Moon for grown-ups.
Maybe. It might work. It might not.
I think it would work. Because the show doesn't have all that build-up. It gets right into the thick of it. So you're pretty much... It only takes a few minutes to get hooked in, and I can't think of many people who, once they start watching it, would at least not want to know what happens.
Yeah. I've also seen some people on the internet complaining they don't like the ending.
You're wrong.
They can all shut up.
They're
probably the same people who don't like Ava.
Well, they hate this ending for the same reasons they hate the Ava ending, even though the endings are actually very different.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. The point is all those people suck.
Yeah, you're seriously, if you were not satisfied with the end of the show,
suck it.
Get out of here.
You shut. And there's something else, but whatever.
Well, it's telling
there's a lot else.
When we watched the show, you know, saw the end, and some shows, like I say, finished the show, and then I just turn it off. But some shows, the credits just play all the way to the end, and everyone sits in the room quiet until there is literally no more to see.
And then, there's something after the final credits, like 20 seconds worth. So you should watch that.
But, you know, you can tell when a show is an A anime. I think my definition of an A anime, it makes that list if the majority of the people you show it to, when it ends, will sit in the room quietly until the last of the credits are gone.
That's one factor. The other factors are you watch an episode and you just want to keep watching and you can't help yourself. And B, rewatching is good. Like, if you can actually rewatch it and enjoy it again, if you get all those three things, it's an A anime.
Yes, and it does the Utena thing. You watch it again, everything you needed to know was there.
Yeah, it's like you watch the first episode after knowing the ending, and people say things, and you're like putting your hand over your mouth, like, oh my god, they said that in episode 1, I can't believe.
Hell, you watch every single episode has moments of, oh shit, oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, why didn't I notice that before?
I can't believe they said that so early, and I didn't notice it. And there's only 12 episodes, and they fit it all in.
This is one of the best anime I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I definitely call it best recent anime.
The last show that was as good as this that I watched was rewatching Second Gig Ghost in the Shell.
One more note just historically on the show, right? The final episode of the show was delayed by the real earthquake.
Oh my god, I couldn't have dealt with that.
And then it came out in Japan much later and still got crazy ratings.
Well, think about it, Scott. Imagine if you had seen up to episode 11 and then you had to wait.
Yeah.
You would have been waiting as badly as we're waiting for the second season of Ponies.
That's why I don't wait. I just download the whole show at once and watch it all at once in one afternoon and one morning.
Yep. This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.